What's good? What's popping? What's cracking? What's going down? What's upper? All those sayings. Anyway, it's 4/23, 2025. I'm Rosville, and this is episode 15. Episode 15, got it written down. Episode 15 of Alliance Late Night. I'm back at it. Took a little time off. Came back last week with a video. I did it on the fly. I didn't really promote it or anything like that. So if you want to check that out, episode 14, I had to vent about this latest season of NWA Power, aka Shockwave, aka I'm trying to keep track of what it is, when it is, which is a little challenging. Taping schedules way out of whack. Should not be that way, but that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about Exodus Pro. As I've been evaluating what's going on around the territories with the different promotions and trying to keep finger on the pulse as to what's going on with the territory system, evaluating how the territory system is being used or not used, utilized or underutilized, all that great stuff. But right now, what I'm going to be talking about again is Exodus Pro. And what I would like to say right now is that prior to this taping and up to maybe a few weeks ago, my take had been that Joe Kazana's promotion, JCP, was the number one promotion in all the territories. But going back and doing some evaluating, going back and watching what we would call signature, quotes in there, the signature events that have been presented to us over the NWA's YouTube channel. And I would have to say that Exodus Pro, EXO Pro for short, if you're cool and fly like EC3 shades and hairdo, they've been putting on a better product, in my opinion. I'm not saying that it's been flawless because nothing's flawless, as we just saw with WrestleMania, right? But it's my opinion that Exodus Pro has been putting on and presenting a better package and has continuously improved event after event that has been streamed on the NWA National Wrestling Alliance YouTube channel. So, first I'm going to go into my little spiel here about the events. Then I'm going to go through a little bit of a promotion for some of the talent there and what's coming up. So I wrote down some notes. Went back to the YouTube channel. Now, I may be wrong, but I think some of the events from Exodus Pro are missing. The part ones of some of the events. So starting with Journey 2, which I believe Journey 1 was streamed. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But we have Journey 2. That's where we start, right? The production side of it, from what I remember, there was a little bit of technical difficulties, right? But it was the first live stream, the first stream that they did, that they presented, and that's to be expected, right? I recall seeing posts from the streaming team, the editing team, the video team, and they were addressing those issues. So if it wasn't on Journey 1, the improvements were made on Journey 2 or going into the second event that was streamed on the NWA's YouTube channel. Nonetheless, we had our first glimpse at what was going on with Exodus Pro. Again, not flawless, but we see that there's definitely talent there. There's solid booking going on. We're being introduced to the talent through the presentation that was put together for the event, with the in-between segments ties us in, also with the intermission, giving us a little glimpse of what's coming up in the second half of the events, which for everybody who's been to an independent show, you know that those intermissions, that's a thing. I haven't been to a big event in a long time, in many years. So when I say big events, I haven't been to an AEW or a WWE event in many years. Just whenever it comes around, there's something else going on. Just the way that it is. But most likely, I will be attending the next AEW event coming to the Seattle area. Anyway, the next event that we got on the NWA YouTube channel live stream was The Usual Suspects. Now, if this is out of order, again, let me know in the comments, but I went back to the NWA's YouTube channel, and this is the order that it had it in when I was looking. So, that order, pardon me. But for all you brainiacs that love to correct things, go ahead and correct it in the comments for me. I appreciate it. The Usual Suspects. What I have in my notes here, again, before I get to that part, again, this event leveled up from Journey 2. And that's what you want to do as a promotion, as a company, in any business, is you want to continue to get better, right? That's, you want to make money, and you want to make more money by getting better, smoother, tightening up the loose ends, cutting out what didn't work, and improving what works, implementing new ideas and making sure those ideas make sense when you introduce them, right? So from that standpoint, I have to say that they improved. And for many of the people who I chat with on a regular basis, you know, when it pertains to and comes to the National Wrestling Alliance, many of us agree on that. Not everybody liked every aspect of every match, and it's wrestling, right? It's entertainment. Everything's not going to be for everybody. But production wise, presentation wise, how it flowed from beginning to end improved from Journey 2. Now, in my notes here, I didn't like the ending. The three-way match between Latimer, Richard Holiday, and EC3 turning into a tag team match between TME and Richard Holiday versus Tom Latimer and EC3. I understand that independent shows, these type of things happen. I understand on some big stages this happens, but I did not favor this decision. Mostly because I want to see Richard Holiday at the top of Exodus Pro. He's the man. Nobody's going to tell me or persuade me to think anything different. He's the man. And perhaps this whole journey that he's on with Exodus Pro is him paying his dues. I'm going to chalk it up to that. As far as I'm concerned, not only is he the future of Exodus Pro, I see great rivalries in Exodus Pro with Richard Holiday. I can easily see him and Dante Casanova going into a program that would catapult from even the notes in how I feel about the promotion already. But again, that was part of my notes. I didn't like that whole switcheroo from the three-way, because I already don't like three-ways anyway, to a 3-on-2 situation. Didn't favor that. Also, some notes that I have, again, from the Usual Suspects. The only wrestler that I really question is Cristiano. He's got this whole Greek thing going on, and he's the Caesar thing or whatever. I haven't seen enough of him actually in action to really formulate really how I feel about this guy. So I think that's really one of my only notes that I have talent wise. Now, as far as being the Caesar, at first I was completely this is stupid. WTF are they doing with this? But then I just had to pump my brakes just going back and watching some of the highlights, clicking through and watching some of the, segments in that event. If The WWE can have the King of the Ring winner and a crown, and the winner of King of the Ring having certain privileges or certain express lanes to move up in the rankings of that promotion, then so can Exodus Pro. It's just going to take me a little bit to get used to it with this Cristiano character. So I'm not writing him off. I just want to see how this develops. You know, especially with EC3 and this whole Greek thing going on, this whole Roman Empire thing, from the way he talks to the way the championship belts look. I'm hanging in there with it. You know, I'm hanging in there with it. It's not something that leaves a taste in my mouth like, man, what are they doing? It's just getting used to the product. And as they move along, I get it. I get it. See what else do I have in my notes here? And again, this event leveled up from Journey 2. It has, I'll just put in my notes, they continue to get better with each of their events. Now we go into Begin Again. Up another level from my notes. Maya World stood out to me. She was in a match with Ari Alexander. I believe that was the opening match. I thought the match was really good. There was a spot in there where some timing was off. They wrestled through it, but you could definitely tell there was some frustration about that. EC3, I like to see it ran back. I think both of those athletes were standouts. I believe that if that was to be featured as an opening match again, it would. I believe that we would be left with the impression that this is not just a future. This is the now. There's a lot of room to grow, of course. I don't know how long either one of these ladies have been wrestling, but as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about the Io Sky, that three-way match that just happened at WrestleMania. Some of the techniques that I saw in this match with Maya World and Alexander, I can see something there. So EC3, you're the booker, man. I would suggest running it back for your next event coming up, which I'll get to. Lord Crew versus Carson Drake. I actually thought that this match was pretty good. I didn't like the interference, but the interference made sense to Carson Drake's opponent, Lord Crew. Because it's my opinion, just like it's probably a lot of yours opinions, that there's no way that Carson Drake could go over clean over Lord Crew. Right? That's the way I'm seeing it. Lord Crew is that guy. He's a journeyman. Wrestled in UWN Championship Wrestling. I've seen recently that he's made his way up to the Portland territory, or the Oregon territory, if you would. And he's legit. He's legit. You know, he's one of those guys. He's paying his dues. He's making his rounds. So for him to not take the 1, 2, 3 in that match and to take the loss in the way and the manner that he did made sense. In my notes here, and I'll kind of wing this here. A lot of us who are NWA fans, we have a very strong opinion about Carson Drake. And that opinion is that we haven't liked him. I think that a lot of that comes from NWA Power's authority pushing him upon us so quickly and pushing him to television championship so quickly. We haven't really seen a lot of what he can do in the ring. We didn't really truly get a build up and a chase from him to this title. It moved too rapidly. There's a lot about Carson Drake in the NWA that I do not like. There's this heat or dislike from the fans. One dislike can be that we don't like how you're getting the W. We don't like, you know, the heckling you give to the fans. We don't like how you rub it in when you're in there and you're on top and you got things going your way. That's one thing for us to dislike as fans. What I believe that most of us have disliked about Carson Drake is that we haven't liked how he's been pushed unto us, and that it's become annoying in the sense of, why is this guy in this position? I'm trying to articulate this the best way I can. If he was no good at wrestling, if he wasn't a good professional wrestler, he would not be in the ring. There's a lot of talent there that are developing. We understand that. But when we're talking about having the basics down, having an idea of how a match works, he has that. But where he has that, there's other parts of who Carson Drake is in the ring that are not sharpened, that are not polished, and need direction. And I could clearly see that in his match against Laura Crew. There's something there, but we had to fine tune some other things, like his promos, like all the laughing, like who exactly is Carson Drake? Is Carson Drake rich because he's made power moves? Where is this wealth? Can we see it? He talks about having investors and being a big player in I guess like the stock or whatever, right? That's the story that we're being fed. Can we fill in this whole picture and understand exactly why Carson Drake acts and behaves the way that he does? There's other parts of this story that aren't there. And when it comes to his promos, all that laughing, all that forced laugh is annoying. Just annoying. It's a little goes a long way. And when you laugh, you don't want to be silly. You want to be sinister. Your laugh should be sinister, followed up by what you're going to do, or that laugh in a sinister tone comes after what you have done. You beat somebody down, you then laugh, you give us your message, get out. If you're modeled around Ted DiBiase, or if that was an inspiration. So while I'm giving you a critique, I'm actually trying to give some points there, because what I saw with that Laura Crew match showed me something else. I watched it. This is a second playback of me watching it. I see something else. I see something there. So that's that. Kylie Page versus Tiffany Nieves in a Begin Again signature event. It's not a pay-per-view, so I'm just gonna call it an Exodus Pro NWA signature event. I didn't think the match was bad. I thought that the ending was a little questionable. So in Exodus Pro, Tiffany Nieves has a manager. The manager pulls a Eddie Guerrero to make it appear that that Kylie Page, if I didn't say that the first time, Kylie Page versus Tiffany Neves, Kylie Page is left holding the belt to make it seem like she's used the belt against Nieves, right? In that situation, she has some transition where she ends up hitting Tiffany Nieves's manager. Well, if your manager got involved to the point where he got hit by Nieves's opponent, why would Kylie Page be disqualified? I maybe I'm wrong, but if he got involved, the disqualification should come from him being in the ring in the first place. Am I lost in something? Losing something there? But overall, with this event, again, Begin Again leveled up from The Usual Suspects. The Usual Suspects was a level up from Journey 2. Then we have When in Rome 2. Again, they moved the bar. They raised the bar up. I didn't like the ending because I'm a Richard Holiday guy, and that's just what it is. Guy's talented. He deserves to be in a different position. But again, I'm going to chalk it up to he's paying dues. You know, we know those of you who are in the know and follow wrestling the way that I follow wrestling, which is across the board as much as I can catch. You're aware of this man's walk, this professional wrestler's journey. You know, like I know, he deserves to be in a different position. But I understand that there's a path, there's a road to walk, there's a journey. So I have to chalk it up to that. But When in Rome 2, the package, the presentation, everything was sharper. Everything was tightened up. I didn't like every match, right? That's just the way that it is. You're not going to like every match. But I like the fact that EC3's willing to step out there and reach out there for some other talent to bring in to make the show even better. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but When in Rome 2 also featured Pretty Boy Smooth against Calvin Tankman, who, again, that's another gentleman, another professional wrestler who's making all his rounds. He also was just down in Portland, I believe, for Prestige, for their 8-year anniversary. We've seen him in GCW. We've seen him in MLW. That was a great feature for Exodus Pro. It was a good look for Pretty Boy Smooth. So, saying all that to say this, when you look at all that from those events that I mentioned, Journey 2, Begin Again, When in Rome 2, and we're not even talking about Journey 1 and When in Rome 1. But each one of those events was better than the last. Not just in the ring, across the board. I feel so strongly about that, and I'm just one person with an opinion. I believe that all these events have been better than most of the episodes in that time span than NWA Power. So that brings me to my own personal conclusion, my own evaluation board, my own ranking system over here that I have, that Rosville has up in here. It's at this point that I believe that Exodus Pro, ran by EC3, and I don't know who his partners are or if he has partners, but Exodus Pro, in my opinion, is now the #1 promotion in the NWA territories. By action, by what I've seen with my very own eyes, by what I've seen in the interaction in the chats during the events, by what I've heard and I've seen in the comments about Exodus Pro. from what I know of the anticipation for the next event to come up, to come around. Right? That to me puts Exodus Pro in the number one position for top promotion in the territory system. Now, how does everything else rank? Exodus Pro 1, JCP 2, MLW, or excuse me, WLW, World League Wrestling. Actually, let me switch that around. Exodus Pro 1, World League Wrestling 2, JCP 3, which will leave us with Crossfire, Duke City, NWA Chicago. Am I leaving out one? I don't think so. My decisions aren't out on those. I don't see Crossfire. Crossfire is not on X. Crossfire is not on YouTube. None of their special events have been ran where I can see them. I believe they are on WrestleMatch or some platform, but I've yet to see those events. I also don't see any highlights ran or featured on NWA Power. So it kind of leaves me inconclusive. NWA Chicago, what is NWA Chicago? We hear it spoken about, but really, what is it? Duke City Championship Wrestling. They're running regular. They stay active with their podcasts on their channel. They've brought some talent in to be featured. But for what I would say, what pluses are there, what positives are there, you know, as was mentioned on the other Alliance Guys podcast on Monday, some of the little things, you know, some of the little details are overlooked. When we're talking about standard, keeping a standard in the appearance of all the promotions, professionalism and walking and acting in the spirit of excellence is very, very important. From your everyday 9-to-5 job to being an entertainer and how you carry yourself and how you present whatever it is your package is. When you look raggedy taggedy, makeshift, like you're not willing to make what you're doing look good at all times. Duke City Championship Wrestling runs in a pretty cool theater. Then I look at promotions like North American Wrestling Alliance. They're setting up in gyms and they're wrestling outside and doing fundraiser events or whatever. And every time I see that promotion, although, again, I don't like all the talent, I don't like all the booking, they always have a professional appearance. The ring is clean. The ring mat is clean. It's branded, turnbuckles and all. When I look at Duke City, it's not quite that deal. But when you look at World League Wrestling, looks pretty solid. Looks presentable at all times. That's what I'm saying. But moving on from that, back to Exodus Pro, we have this event coming up. Boys are back in town. Friday, May 23rd at the Treelawn, which is where they typically have held their prior events. They're going to be back at it. You know, all the regulars on there, including the Exodus Pro, I hope I'm getting this right, Midwest champion, Dante Casanova, which, by the way, his match to obtain, gain, and win that championship was a really good match. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Also, I recently saw some clips of Dante Casanova and Spencer Slade. And I kid you not, the clip, the highlight reel was maybe a minute, maybe a little over a minute. Pure professional wrestling. It is exactly what NWA Power should look like. But I find myself often looking at the other territories and they are presenting wrestling as it's meant to be. But when I turn on NWA Power, there's these holes and there's these gaps and there's these booking issues and the continuity is just, it's out of whack. The talent is there. The talent is there, but the people operating and controlling the ship, the people at the helm calling the shots. That's a thing. Booking and directing go hand in hand. We have coaches there and we know it. We have coaches there to help coach. Maybe we need a little bit more of that on Power, on NWA Power. That's a whole other deal. So, just to go through a few things here. This has been posted by Exodus Pro. Some of their talent highlights. You have Ashton Day. Didn't know he was on American Idol. Didn't know he played Division I college basketball. That's great. They have a talented roster over there. And again, every time we see them, they're getting better and better. Your former Exodus Pro Midwest champion, Pretty Boy Smooth, doing his thing. His work ethic is getting better and better. Or should I say, his determination and his discipline is becoming sharper. His hunger seems to be growing for what he's doing. If you don't follow him on any of the social media outlets, I suggest you do so, and you will see for yourself. He's dedicated to becoming better, and that's awesome to see. I believe one of the pictures that I saw, it was him, Spencer Slade, and someone else having a workout session during WrestleMania weekend. Instead of just sitting and doing nothing and wishing and hoping, there he is, along with his boys, other professional athletes from the National Wrestling Alliance, getting after it. I like that. I dig that. Of course, you have EC3 himself with his new look, which, by the way, I favor much more than the blonde thing with the hair up in the air and the whole Roman Empire thing. This look, EC3, this mode, this attitude, I'm digging it. Stick with it. But please, no more matches in anywhere in the near future between you and Tom Latimer. Not right now. We don't need that. We already had that, and not right now. Lord Crew, as I was just speaking of, he's the guy. He's the worker. He's a beast in there. He has the look. He has the in-ring skill sets. Powerhouse, aggressive, knows how to turn it on when it needs to be turned on, and go. I see him as a solid contender in Exodus Pro for some time to come. I could see many storylines that he could be included in. So it'd just be interesting to see what they do. Dante Casanova, your current Exodus Pro Midwest champion. Like I said, the battle to win the title was a great match. I liked it. He stepped up. You can just see the caliber of go in him. He has like this natural ability. Some people have it, some people don't. Some people you can see they're going through the motions, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This guy, you can just see he's on it, which is why he is your Exodus Midwest champion. Tiffany Nieves, your Exodus Women's champion. As many of you know, she beat cancer And I believe when you go through something like that, you are forever changed. And I believe her pursuit of greatness in the ring is a reflection of that. She's defended that title. She's gone at Natalia Markova, Kenzie Page. She is a top contender in Exodus Pro and outside of Exodus Pro when it comes to NWA Power. We know if you follow some of the other promotions that she's in, she's a winner. It'll be interesting to see who's going to step up in Exodus Pro and attempt to take the throne. That takes me back to that match between Maya World and Ari Alexander. Down the line, room to grow, you know? Richard Holiday is the man, as I said. It's unfortunate, but fortunate that there's no other titles in the promotion for him to go after. However, we have this Caesar thing. Maybe there could be something there. He definitely is rare fire. I got to see him wrestle. Apologize about that. I got the chance to see him wrestle in Defy up in my area, Seattle. And again, on the mic, he's solid. In the ring, he's solid. We've been watching his work, while he was in MLW and making his rounds all around the independents. Everywhere he goes, he's being booked as a top guy. If you're following, you see what gold he holds. I'm pushing and always rooting for Richard Holiday. TME, the more I see them, the more their mechanics in the ring together are gelling more. They are a powerhouse tag team. We often want to refer to the Road Warriors when it comes to tag teams of power and strength in the NWA. I wouldn't say they are a mirror or anything like that, but definitely they are impact players when they're in the ring. It's about power. It's about making it stick when they're in there. I would like to see them in the Crockett Cup. We're just now starting to see what matches are going to be on the card. We shall see. Brandon Beretta. Looks like a professional wrestler. Look like he's serious. Looks like he wants to win. Looks like he wants to hurt you. And it is not a game. That is what I like to see in a professional wrestler. I know every athlete is not going to be that exact same way. If everybody was like Brandon, it wouldn't be any fun. It wouldn't be entertaining. There would be, without any diversity, you get a repeat of the same. So we understand that clearly. But for me, you need a guy like this in your lineup to balance out some of the more, I won't say comical, but more to balance out some of the more charismatic individuals in your promotion. For every person that's going to crack jokes and rib the crowd, we need somebody who's not concerned about it and is just suplexing and body slamming people all over the arena. That's what I see in Brandon Beretta. Looking forward to see where he goes in this promotion. I can see something, especially when we now know that Spencer Slade is Exodus Pro. Now, I've been following this guy for a little while from MCW, and when he appeared in the NWA, I was hoping that Brian Johnson, formerly of Ring of Honor, would make his way as well. That hasn't happened. That's neither here nor there, and that's, besides the whole point of this video. But Slade, like Richard Holiday, the guy. He's the guy. When you look at him, it says professional wrestling. he says all business, all business. How he didn't get to the junior heavyweight championship? Yeah, you know, it is what it is, and it's not what it's not, and what it's not is him holding that title and having that gold, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. But we have an awesome, awesome lineup and roster of talent over in Exodus Pro. I see so much that can be done with the crew and the team that they have. So from the professional wrestler side of it to the technical side of it to the presentation, Exodus Pro has a package there that, and this was also discussed a little bit or asked as a question from what would Luthez do in the chats over at the other Alliance guys. And that question was, do you think that one of the territories would be allowed to supersede or to step over NWA Power? Now, allowed is one word. But if the fans choose Exodus Pro or any other promotion in the territory system for that matter, if the fans choose that they prefer any other promotion in the territory and not Power, the show itself, so shall it be. Before Jim Crockett Promotions, there was many promotions. They could not bring the package the way that Jim Crockett did. So Jim Crockett became essentially the NWA. Yeah, there was other territories running, but the big show where everybody was looking and was making all the money, all the big money, Jim Crockett Promotions. So, who knows? Maybe Exodus Pro will be and become that promotion that walks right over NWA Power, that all the eyes go there. That's neither here nor there, but just something to think about. That's what I wanted to bring you. That's my choice. Exodus Pro, #1 territory in the NWA system. If you don't like it, tell me your argument down in the comments. Tell me who you think is the #1 promotion in the NWA territories. I'm up for a friendly debate. Don't talk to me crazy in the comments. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's my update. Be sure to check out Exodus Pro's social accounts so you can follow and get notifications on their upcoming event. The boys are back in town, or the boys are back, whichever. But if this event is going to be anything like the others, expect for it to level up and you will not want to miss it. That is all. I'm Rosville. This is Alliance Late Night, episode 15, and I will see you guys on the next one.